Hello and welcome to Conspiracy Cookout, where we give you recipes the globalists don't want you to know. Today's topic will be the staple of the prepared and the base for future dishes, beans. We'll start with how to cook the beans, and then what to do with them once you have them cooked. And I'm thinking making black bean patties. They're cheap, they're easy to make. I have all the stuff on hand. What more do you want? Let's go! To start with, you will need black beans, a large enough sealable container to hold the black beans, a measuring cup, vinegar, a Ziploc bag, a wooden spoon or whatever you have, salt, in my case pink meme salt, and a cooking pot. To start with, I'll need to transfer the beans from the Mylar bag to the Ziploc bag. And then, from the Ziploc, measure out a heaping 2 cups worth. Before we can use the beans, we'll have to rinse them. Transfer them to a strainer and run them under water. This removes dust and dirt and allows you to pick out any bad-looking beans or rocks that found their way in the bag. Once they're sufficiently rinsed, add them to your plastic tub. Definitely don't almost spill them on the floor. Now you're going to add 3 tablespoons of vinegar. From what I understand, the vinegar helps to keep the beans from getting mushy when they cook. Give it a stir, and then fill your tub with water. Put the lid on, and then let them soak for 24 hours. Now that they've soaked, they've swelled up significantly. Pro tip, use a much bigger container to soak the beans than you think you need. Mine got so full it started leaking. Now we need to drain the water and give them another rinse. Now that we have raw, soaked beans, it's time to cook them. Add the beans to 6 cups of water and stir in 2 tablespoons of salt. With your hand, I guess. Bring to a boil over high heat. This should take about 15 minutes. Also, I added some fancy leaves to mine. It's not necessary, and I'm not sure bay leaves actually do anything, but I had them, so why not? Give them a stir and let them come to a boil. Once they're boiling, reduce the heat to medium-low, add the lid so it'll let steam escape, and then simmer for an hour or 2. You'll be able to tell when they're done by the beans being soft and tender all the way through, but if the skins split and they start disintegrating, then you've overcooked them. Remove from heat and let them cool. Now that we have a pot of cooked beans, we're going to make black bean burgers. But first, I'd be remiss if I didn't try the beans by themselves, and I have to say, they're pretty good with just salt and bay leaf. Not an all the time thing, but if you're stuck inside hiding from irradiated wasteland monsters, it's better than nothing. Fortunately, we're not quite at that point yet, so let's start making those bean patties. In a large bowl, add 28 ounces of cooked beans, which is roughly equivalent to 2 standard cans worth, 2 eggs, half a cup of breadcrumbs, sauteed onion and garlic, and some spices. Use whatever feels right to you, but I use cumin, cayenne pepper, and paprika. Also, my roommate's friend gave us some spicy Polish ketchup, I guess, so I'll add some of that in because it needs to get used and I have no idea what to do with it. Stir all of that to combine the ingredients and to distribute the spices, and then mash with a potato masher until your mixture resembles chunky refried beans. You could blend it together in a food processor if you wanted to, but I prefer the texture of the beans in there. Also, that implies you'll have electricity. Once you have your mixture, Use a measuring cup to scoop out the beans and shape them into patties on your baking sheet. This recipe will make about a dozen patties if you're paying attention, but apparently I wasn't, so I only got 11. That's fine. That's okay. Bake at 375 degrees for 20 minutes. Once they come out of the oven, they'll be nice and golden. These ones came out a little crumbly for my tastes, but I can fix that next time by adding a little more breadcrumbs to dry out the batter. Once they've cooled, transfer them to a container to store them in the fridge. They're good to eat as is, but I prefer to fry them in a little bit of oil. They get a nice texture on the outside that reminds me of a falafel. From here, you can eat them as a burger, you can put them over a salad, or what I've been doing is having them with fried eggs and coffee for breakfast. I have to say, I can definitely tell it isn't beef, but it is pretty delicious. And just like that, we made our first connection between egg, black beans, onion, and breadcrumbs to make black bean burgers. Nothing extravagant, nothing 4-star, but they will keep you fed and satiated while the aliens invade and you have to stay in your house, so at least it's got that going for it. We'll get fancier down the line as we start to incorporate some more of these ingredients. That's it for me, and I'll see you next time on Conspiracy Cookout.